My able learners, I welcome you again to another exciting segment of our lesson in mathematics. As usual, I am Yakubu Fidelix. Today, we are starting a new topic known as simultaneous linear equations. A new topic known as simultaneous linear equations. And the subtopic is methods of solving simultaneous linear equations. Methods of solving simultaneous linear equations. And we are considering the A part of it, which is known as the elimination method. We are considering the A part of it, which is known as the elimination method. My dear learners, there are three methods of solving simultaneous linear equations. I take that again. There are three methods of solving simultaneous linear equations. This, number one, is elimination method. Elimination method. Number two is substitution method. Substitution method. And number three is graphical method. Graphical method. What are we saying? That is when a question is given to you under the simultaneous linear equations. Either you use elimination method, or you use substitution method, or you use graphical method, you are arriving at the same answer. A, that is the method we are considering, that is elimination method. Elimination method. To solve simultaneous linear equations under the elimination method, then there are rules that need to be followed. But before the rules, it may interest you to know that under the elimination method, there are usually two linear equations given. There are usually two linear equations given. And there are two unknowns in the two linear equations. Then your effort is to determine the corresponding value of each unknown. Take note. Your effort is to determine the corresponding value of each unknown. Now, we have the rules that are binding elimination method. That is, you are to apply these rules when questions are given in order to arrive at the correct answer. And number one rule is, make sure the equations are balanced. Make sure the equations are balanced. What do we mean by the equations to be balanced? That is, if the two unknowns are x and y, the coefficient of x in equation 1 must be equal to the coefficient of x in equation 2. Or rather, the coefficient of y in equation 1 must also be equal to the coefficient of y in equation 2. Then rule number 2, if the signs of the balancing terms are the same, if the signs of the balancing terms are the same, that is, plus plus or minus minus, then we are to subtract the equations. I take that again. If the signs of the balancing terms are the same, that is, plus plus or minus minus, then we are to subtract the equations. Then, the subpart of is the converse of the one. The subpart of is the converse of the what? Of the one. That is, if the signs of the balancing terms are different, i.e. plus minus or minus plus, then we are to add the equations. If the signs of the balancing terms are different, that is plus minus or minus plus, then we are to add the equations. Example number 1. Solve the simultaneous equations. Solve the simultaneous equations. 2x plus 5y equals to 1. 2x plus 5y equals to 1. Then next, 3x minus 2y equals to 30. 3x minus 2y equals to 30. In order to determine the solution of this simultaneous equation, then you must retrospect to the rules that I have given you. Number one, make sure the equations are balanced. Number one, make sure the equations are balanced. So, equation 1, that is 2x plus 5y equals to 1. 2x plus 5y equals to 1. And equation 2, 3x minus 2y equals to 30. 3x minus 2y equals to 30. Now you must retrospect to ensure that the rules I have given you must be followed. Number one, make sure the equations are balanced. Make sure the equations are balanced. What do you mean by balancing the equation? If you choose to balance x, then the coefficient of x in equation 1 must be the same in equation 2. The coefficient of x in equation 1 must be the same in equation 2. And if you also choose to balance y, then the coefficient of y in equation 1 must be the same in equation 2. The coefficient of y in equation 1 must be the same in equation 2. Now, by looking at this, 2x plus 5y equals to 1, I name it equation 1. 2x plus 5y equals to 1, I name it equation 1. And 3x minus 2y equals to 30, I name it equation 2. 3x minus 2y equals to 30, I name it equation 2. Then you can choose to balance either x or y. You can choose to balance either x or y, but I chose to balance x. I chose to balance x. In doing that, I multiply equation 1 by the coefficient of x in equation 2, which is 3. I multiply equation 1 by 3, that is the coefficient of x in equation 2. And also, to balance x in equation 2, I multiply equation 2 by 2, that is the coefficient of x in equation 2. Now, 3 times 2x, the answer is 6x. 3 times 2x, the answer is 6x. Then, 3 times 5y, the answer is 15y. 3 times 5y, the answer is 15y. And 3 times 1, the answer is 3. 3 times 1, the answer is 3. Let's move to equation 2. That is multiplied by 2. 2 times 3x, the answer is 6x. 2 times 3x, the answer is 6x. 2 times minus 2y, the answer is minus 4y. 2 times minus 2y, the answer is minus 4y. And 2 times 30, the answer is 60. 2 times 30, the answer is 60. Now, the coefficient of x in equation 1 is 6. And the coefficient of x in equation 2 is also 6. You can now see that your x is balanced because it has the same coefficient. Your x is balanced because it has the same coefficient. Then we apply rule number 2. Rule number 2. You consider the signs of the balancing terms. You consider the signs of the balancing term. But before then, you can name 6x plus 15y equals to 3 equation 3, and also name 6x minus 4y equals to 60 as equation 4. Now, consider the signs of the balancing terms now. By considering the signs of the balancing terms, that is x. The first equation we have plus 6x, and the second equation we also have plus 6x. The first equation is plus 6x, and the second equation we have plus 6x. You can now see that the signs are the same, that is plus plus. And the rule says when the signs are the same, we are to subtract the equations. The rule says when the signs are the same, we are to subtract the equation. So by simplification, 6x minus 6x, or before then, I said equation 3 minus equation 4. Equation 3 minus equation 4. You can also choose to put it this way, equation 4 minus 3. You all arrive at the same answer. You can also choose to say equation 4 minus equation 3. You all arrive at the same answer. So by simplification, we have 6x minus 6x will give you 0. 6x minus 6x will give you 0. And plus 15y, written down, plus 15y, minus the equation is written there. Plus 15y, written, minus the equation is written, then minus 4y, minus 4y. So you can now see that the expression on the left is plus 15y minus 4y equals to the right-hand side, that is 3 minus 60, equals to the right-hand side, that is 3 minus 60. Then, by the idea of the directed numbers, minus the two middle side become plus. Minus the two middle side become plus. So we now have 15y plus 4y, 15y plus 4y, and that will give you 19y. That will give you 19y. Then the left-hand side, 3 minus 60. 3 minus 60, of course, we are going to have minus 57. Minus 57. Now, to find the corresponding value of y, we are to divide both sides by the coefficient of y, also known as the multiplier of y, which is 19. We are to divide both sides by the coefficient of y, which is also known as the multiplier of what? Of y, which is 19. So you can now see that on the left, I have 19y over 19, 19y over 19, and of course, 19y divided by 19, the answer is y. 19y divided by 19, the answer is y. Then on the right, I have minus 57 divided by 19. I have minus 57 divided by 19. And minus 57 divided by 19, the answer is minus 3. Minus 57 divided by 19, the answer is minus 3. Therefore, my y equals to minus 3. Now, to find the corresponding value of x, we are to substitute the value of y in equation 1. We are to substitute the value of y in equation 1. However, you can choose to substitute it either in equation 2, either in equation 3, or either equation 4. You still arrive at the same answer. I take that again. You are not restricted to equation 1 alone. You can choose to substitute it either in equation 2, either in equation 3, or either equation 4. You all arrive at the same answer. So I am using equation 1, which is 2x plus 5y equals to 1, which is 2x plus 5y equals to 1. By substitution, the value of y, which is minus 3, we are going to have 2x plus 5 times minus 3 equals to 1. By substituting the value of x, of y, which is minus 3, then we are going to have 2x plus 5 times minus 3, the corresponding value of y, equals to 1. I take that again. 2x plus 5 times the corresponding value of y, which is minus 3, equals to 1. So we now have our 2x, as you can see. Then, plus 5 times minus 3, the answer is minus 15. Plus 5 times minus 3, the answer is minus 15. So we now have 2x minus 15 equals to the right-hand side, which is 1. 2x minus 15 equals to the right-hand side, which is 1. So by collecting the like terms, we are now going to have, 2x equals 1 plus 15. Because y minus 15 crosses from the left-hand side to the right-hand side become plus 15. Y minus 15 crosses from the left-hand side to the right-hand side become plus 15. So we now have the left-hand side, which is 2x, the left-hand side, which is 2x, and 1 plus 15, the answer is 16. 1 plus 15, the answer is 16. To determine the value of x, we are going to divide both sides by the coefficient of x. I take that. To determine the value of x, we are going to divide both sides by the coefficient of x, which is also known as the multiplier of x, and here the coefficient is 2. So divide both sides by 2, we are going to have 2x over 2 equals to 16 over 2. 2x over 2 equals to 16 over 2. And of course, 2x divided by 2, the answer is x. 2x divided by 2, the answer is x. And 16 divided by 2, the answer is 8. 16 divided by 2, the answer is 8. Conclusively, our x is equals to 8, and our y is equals to minus 3. Conclusively, our x is equals to 8, and our y is equals to minus 3. In summary, for better assimilation, there are 3 methods of solving simultaneous linear equations. As I mentioned earlier, the first of them is the elimination method, followed by the substitution method and the graphical method. When the question is given to you under the simultaneous linear equations, any of the method you use as mentioned, you are arriving at the same answer. Today, as I've said, we have considered the elimination method. And in solving the simultaneous linear equations under the elimination method, there are procedures or the rules that we need to follow. And number one of them, as I mentioned earlier, is make sure the equations are balanced. Make sure the equations are balanced. That is, if you choose to balance x as an unknown, the coefficient of x in 1 must be the same as that of 2. And if you choose to balance y, the coefficient of y in 1 must also be the same as that in 2. Then number 2, if the signs of the balancing terms are the same, if the signs of the balancing terms are the same, i.e. plus, plus, or minus, minus, then we are to subtract the equations. We are to subtract the equations. And if the signs of the balancing terms are different, if the signs of the balancing terms are different, then converse will be the result. That is, we are to add the equations. We are to add the equations. An example that we have worked earlier, which is 2x plus 5y equals to 1. 2x plus 5y equals to 1, and 3x minus 2y equals to 30. I tack 2x plus 5y equals to 1 as equation 1, and 3x minus 2y equals to 30 as equation 2. And I chose to balance x. And to balance x, I multiply equation 1 by 3. That is the coefficient of x in equation 2. I multiply equation 1 by 3, the coefficient of x in equation 2, and I multiply equation 2 by 2, the coefficient of x in equation 1. Now, 3 times 2x, you are going to have 6x. 3 times 5y, you are going to have 15y. And 3 times 1, you are going to have 3. And I name it equation 3. Then, 2 times 3x, you will have 6x. 2 times minus 2y, you have minus 4y. And 2 times 30, it will give you 60. And I name it equation 4. Then, by considering the first rule, make sure the equations are balanced. When you look at x, in equation 1, the coefficient is 6. And equation 2, the coefficient of x is also 6. Both signs are the same, positive and positive. So the rule suggests we are to subtract the equations. So, as follows, 6x minus 6x, that will give you 0. I'm subtracting equation 4 from equation 3, please. I'm subtracting equation 4 from equation 3, please. 6x minus 6x, that will give you 0. And plus 15y minus 4y. Plus 15y minus 4y. And that will give you 19y by the idea of the directed numbers. That will give you 19y by the idea of the directed numbers. And the right, 3 minus 60 will give you minus 57. 3 minus 60, that will give you minus 57. To find the value of y, you are to divide both sides by the coefficient of y, which is 19. So 19y divided by 19, you'll be left with y. 19y divided by 19, you'll be left with y. And minus 57 divided by 19, you are going to left with minus 3. To find the corresponding value of x, we substituted the value of y in equation 1. And by that, I have my 2x plus 5 times minus 3, the value of y, plus 5 times minus 3, the value of y. And plus 5 times minus 3, you have minus 15. Plus 5 times minus 3, you have minus 15. So I now have 2x minus 15 equals to 1. Then I collected the like terms. On the left, that would be how I will have 2x, and on the right, it becomes 1 plus 15. And of course, 1 plus 15 will give you 16. 1 plus 15 will give you 16. To find the corresponding value of x, I divided both sides by the coefficient of x, which is 2. So 2x divided by 2, you will have x. And 16 divided by 2, you will have 8. Conclusively, my x is equals to 8, and my y equals to minus 3. My dear learners, I am expecting you to practice harder, because without practicing, you will not have proper assimilation of the subject. But before we close for the day, I have an assignment for you. Assignment: solve the following pairs of simultaneous equations. Solve the following pairs of simultaneous equations. Number 1, 2x minus y equals to 8. 2x minus y equals to 8. And 3x plus y equals to 17. 3x plus y equals to 17. Number 2, 4a equals to 1 minus 3b. 4a equals to 1 minus 3b. And 4b equals to minus 1 minus 6a. 4b equals to minus 1 minus 6a. You can get me through this contact 080-2525-5287. Yakubu Fidelix 080-2525-5287. Stay home, stay safe, and keep learning well. Thank you.